Welcome back, everybody. Today we're doing a deep dive into Starbucks stock.
Ah, Starbucks.
Yeah, to kind of figure out, can their new Back to Starbucks plan actually work?
Right.
We've got a pretty hefty stack of information here.
Yeah.
We've got a detailed stock analysis report,
Okay.
the latest earnings call transcript,
Huh.
press releases, and some recent news articles.
That's good.
So grab your favorite latte and let's get started.
All right, so what's interesting about this one is that Starbucks is attempting a pretty classic turnaround.
Right.
New CEO, new vision.
Okay.
But they're up against some really fierce competition in the coffee world.
Yeah, for sure.
Can they really recapture that magic that made them such a global icon?
Right. And that's what we're going to try to figure out today.
Yeah.
So let's start by kind of breaking down this Back to Starbucks initiative.
Okay.
What exactly are they doing to try to win back customers and reignite growth?
Well, it seems like they're really trying to refocus on what made Starbucks special in the first place. That premium coffee, a welcoming atmosphere, and that sense of community that everyone's, always talking about.
Right.
So they're cutting back on promotions, investing in marketing that highlights their coffee quality, and they're even bringing back those ceramic mugs for that cozy coffee house feel.
Interesting.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, so it sounds like it's not just about the vibes, though, right?
No, not at all.
They're also laser focused on becoming more efficient,
Absolutely.
which I imagine is key for any turnaround effort.
That's right. One of their key goals is to get that order throughput time down to 4 minutes.
4 minutes. Wow.
If you think about it, a faster, smoother experience makes customers happy.
Yeah.
And importantly, allows them to serve more customers during peak hours.
Right. More efficient.
Exactly.
Okay, so 4-minute throughput, that's the goal.
Yeah.
But can they actually achieve that?
Well,
And what about those infamous mobile ordering wait times?
right.
Those seem to be a persistent issue.
Well, that's where it gets really interesting. The earnings transcript revealed that their bottleneck isn't actually capacity,
Okay.
but order sequencing.
Hmm.
Yeah, so they're rolling out a new algorithm to try and optimize that process,
Interesting.
which, if it works, could be a game changer, both for the customer experience and for how efficiently they can manage mobile orders.
Okay, so it's not just about brewing the coffee faster. It's about smarter order management.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've got the Back to Starbucks plan and this focus on efficiency.
Uh-huh.
How's all of that playing out in their actual financials?
Well, the Q1 FY2025 earnings were kind of a mixed bag,
Okay.
which often happens in the early stages of a turnaround.
Right.
Revenue was flat at $9.4 billion, and comparable store sales actually declined by 4%.
A 4% decline.
Yeah,
That seems pretty significant.
it is.
I mean, does that suggest that the Back to Starbucks plan isn't really working?
Not necessarily. Remember, these turnarounds take time.
Right.
What's encouraging is that we saw sequential improvement in U.S. comparable store sales throughout the quarter.
Okay. Especially during those crucial morning hours.
So there are some glimmers of hope amidst the challenging numbers.
Exactly. And plus, ticket growth remains strong at 4%,
Okay.
which tells us that people are still willing to pay a premium for that Starbucks experience,
Yeah.
even with the current, economic climate.
That's a really interesting point.
Yeah.
So even with the decline in comparable store sales, the fact that they can maintain that pricing power suggests there's still strong brand loyalty.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, but I'm guessing there are still some major hurdles they need to clear, right?
You bet that persistent decline in comparable store sales is definitely a concern.
Right.
And they're also facing really intense competition,
Yes.
not just from other coffee chains, but from the entire casual dining sector.
Right.
Everyone's vying for those customer dollars.
Yeah.
And Starbucks needs to prove that this turnaround can deliver sustainable results.
Right. And they're dealing with all of this while trying to appeal to younger customers who might be drawn to trendier independent coffee shops. And then there's the ongoing unionization effort,
Right.
which adds another layer of complexity to the situation.
Yeah, it sounds like they have a lot to juggle.
Yeah, they do.
So we've got this ambitious turnaround plan,
Mhm.
some encouraging signs,
Yeah.
but also some major challenges.
Right.
Where do we even begin to untangle all of this?
Well, I think a good starting point is to really examine the Back to Starbucks initiative in more detail.
Okay.
What specific actions are they taking, and how are those actions likely to impact their financials and their overall competitive position?
Oh, okay. That sounds like a plan. Let's dig a little deeper into those specifics and see if we can start to get a clearer picture of what the future might hold for Starbucks.
Sounds good to me. So, one thing that really stood out to me in that stock analysis report was their emphasis on operational efficiency.
Right.
It's not just about speed. It's about creating a better experience for both customers and employees.
Yeah, so how exactly are they approaching that?
Well, they're taking a multi-pronged approach.
Right.
For example, they're piloting a program in 700 stores to optimize staffing levels.
Interesting.
Finding that sweet spot where they have enough employees to provide great service without overstaffing,
Right.
which can have a huge impact on profitability.
Makes sense. Yeah, labor costs are a big factor for any business, especially in the restaurant industry.
Absolutely.
But it's not just about staffing, though, right? They're also investing in things like upgraded equipment and technology.
Yes, exactly. They're streamlining processes behind the counter,
Okay.
like reducing their menu SKUs by 30%.
30%. Wow.
Yeah. Fewer choices, but hopefully more focus on quality and consistency
Okay.
and less confusion for both employees and customers.
So fewer options, but hopefully a better overall experience.
Right.
But won't that upset some customers who are used to having a wider selection?
It's a risk for sure,
Right.
but it's a calculated one. They're betting that simplifying the menu will ultimately lead to faster service, greater consistency, and less waste.
Okay, so we've got this Back to Starbucks initiative, the focus on efficiency, and this menu simplification.
Yeah.
How does the unionization effort fit into all of this?
That's a really important point.
Yeah.
The unionization push adds a whole other layer of complexity to this situation.
Right.
It could potentially impact their labor costs, their relationship with employees, and even their overall brand image.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a wild card in this whole turnaround story.
Yeah,
And it's definitely something that investors will be watching closely.
absolutely.
Okay, but let's kind of shift gears for a moment and talk about their long-term growth strategy.
Okay.
I was really surprised to see that they're aiming to double their U.S. store count over the next few years,
Wow.
which seems incredibly ambitious given all of the current challenges that they're facing.
It is ambitious, but it also signals their confidence in the long-term potential of the brand. And they're not just talking about opening more of the same old Starbucks.
Right.
They're exploring different store formats like smaller footprint stores
Yeah.
and targeting new markets where they haven't really had a strong presence before.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So it's not just about blanketing the country with more Starbucks.
Right.
It's about being more strategic and thoughtful with their expansion.
Exactly.
But even with a more targeted approach,
Yeah.
managing that kind of growth while maintaining quality and consistency seems like a monumental task.
It certainly won't be easy.
Right.
They'll need to carefully balance this expansion with the execution of their turnaround plan.
Okay.
And they'll need to do it all while navigating a very rapidly changing competitive landscape.
Right. And speaking of competition, how are they addressing the threat from those, trendy independent coffee shops that seem to be winning over a lot of those younger customers?
Right. Well, they're definitely aware of the need to appeal to those demographics. They're experimenting with new beverage offerings like plant-based options and
Wow.
cold brew innovations, and they're trying to create a more modern and inviting in-store experience.
And don't forget about their digital strategy.
Oh, yeah, that's huge.
In mobile ordering, loyalty programs, personalized recommendations, all key battlegrounds in the coffee wars.
Absolutely. They're investing heavily in their digital platforms
Okay.
and trying to create that seamless on-demand experience that customers have come to expect.
So it's like they're fighting this war on multiple fronts: operational efficiency, brand revitalization, expansion, competition, and the digital experience.
Yeah, it is.
It's a lot to keep track of.
It is a lot.
But I think what's important to remember is that Starbucks has a long history of innovation and adaptation.
Right.
They've faced challenges before, and they've found ways to kind of reinvent themselves and come out stronger on the other side.
Exactly.
So there's reason to believe they can pull this off.
Yeah.
But what about from the investor perspective?
Okay.
What are the key takeaways here?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is that Starbucks is at a pivotal moment.
Okay.
They're making bold moves to try to transform their business,
Right.
and the outcome is still uncertain.
Yeah.
There's a lot of potential upside, but also a fair amount of risk.
So how should investors approach this situation?
I think it's crucial to weigh the risks and opportunities carefully.
Okay.
The Back to Starbucks plan is showing some early signs of promise,
Right.
but they really need to prove that they can sustain that momentum.
Yeah.
The expansion plan is ambitious, but it could pay off big if executed well.
Right.
And the unionization effort just adds a layer of uncertainty that's difficult to quantify.
It sounds like investors are just going to have to stay tuned and watch how these different storylines play out.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
Yeah.
Their plan, the numbers, the risks, the potential. But circling back to where we started, can this back to Starbucks idea really work?
Well, a lot hinges on whether they can attract and retain those younger customers
Yeah,
who might be tempted by, all those trendy independent coffee shops.
right.
They need to figure out how to appeal to this demographic while staying true to their core brand identity.
Yeah, it's like walking a tightrope.
Yeah,
They need to innovate, but without alienating their loyal customers
right.
who value that, familiar Starbucks experience.
Exactly.
What else should we be paying attention to as this story unfolds?
Well, their digital experience is going to be crucial.
Okay.
Think mobile ordering, loyalty programs, personalized recommendations.
Right.
It's a whole other dimension of competition there.
Yeah, they can't afford to have any slip-ups there.
No.
We were talking about earlier, those long wait times for mobile orders.
Right.
That sort of thing can really damage a brand's reputation,
Absolutely.
especially when customers have so many other options these days.
Exactly. And, speaking of customer perception, that decision to drop the non-dairy milk surcharge. Oh, yeah.
That was a really smart move.
Right.
It shows that they're listening to their customers,
Yeah.
adapting to evolving dietary preferences.
Yeah, it definitely makes them seem more customer-centric,
Right.
which I think could be a real differentiator in a market that's becoming increasingly crowded.
It could be.
But even with all of these strategic moves,
Yeah.
it seems like there's still so many moving parts here.
There are a lot.
It's a lot for one company to handle at once.
It is, and that's why these deep dives are so valuable.
Right.
We help you cut through the noise
Yeah,
and understand the key factors driving a company's performance.
absolutely. So we've explored the brand revitalization, the push for efficiency, the ambitious expansion plans,
Hmm?
the unionization question, the need to attract younger customers,
Right.
and the importance of the digital experience.
Yeah.
What does all of this mean for investors?
Well, it means that Starbucks is at a crossroads.
Okay.
Their success hinges on executing this complex turnaround.
While also navigating a very challenging competitive landscape,
Yeah.
there's potential for significant growth, but also some very real risks.
So the big question on everyone's mind, buy, hold, or sell,
Well, it's not about giving a simple answer here.
right?
We've given you the information and the analysis to make an informed decision for yourself.
Yeah.
The Back to Starbucks plan shows promise, but its long-term success remains to be seen.
Right. It's a good reminder that even with all the research in the world, investing always involves some level of uncertainty.
Exactly. But that's also what makes it so fascinating.
That's true. And on that note, if you're enjoying these deep dives and want to
Yeah.
explore more of the market with us, hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you don't miss out.
Yes, definitely subscribe.
We are passionate about making investing accessible
Yeah.
and empowering you to make smarter decisions.
That's right.
We break down these complex topics,
Uh-huh.
analyze the data, and give you the insights you need to navigate the market with confidence.